Alright, so today let's talk about RPE scale and how to use it practically inside of your training. I'm going to keep this very, very short and sweet because it doesn't need to be, drawn out. There's two things. First thing is, when you think RPE, think it's just a measure of effort applied. And the second thing is, you have to, just like how you've learned to deadlift, it took a little bit of time. You had to get the skill down pat, you had to learn how to breathe and brace. That process took a little while for you to understand it, just how it took a little while for you to understand maths. Same thing here applies to the RPE scale, and it'll change the more experienced you become as a lifter and the more you use this scale. So how you use it practically, I'm going to give you an example of myself using it at the moment. I think last week my program said for a top set of 3 on deadlifts at an RPE 7. It was an RPE 7. Right, so that's all it said. It said I just want you to do a top set of 3 at an RPE 7. So in my head I'm going, okay, cool, looking at the scale, should only have 3 reps left in reserve or left in the tank. And I worked up to a 240 and I hit my triple and I was like, yeah, cool. I would have been able to hit that for 6. I've only had but only 6, right? No more than that. And then this coming week it says, okay, cool, now I want you to hit a top set of 3 at an RPE 8. So in my head I go, okay, cool, last week I know I did 240 for that triple and I knew it was an RPE 7. This week I know I'm gonna be going heavier, but I should only have 2 reps left in the tank. Now the good thing here is, for myself at the moment, we're looking at external factors, playing into things. Last week I've actually felt really, really shit leading into training. A lot was going on, had a really big weekend, not out on the piss, just lots of things going on. And I was coming in stiff and a little bit exhausted physically and mentally. This week I feel a lot better. So I'm already predicting that an RPE 8 for me is going to be a fair bit heavier than what my RPE 7 was from last week. I'm looking to hit around a 255 or a 260 this week. So it's a 20 kilo jump between an RPE 7 and an RPE 8. But the really good thing about it here is, as I said at the start of this video, it's all about a measure of effort. Now, the effort that I applied last week was a true 7, but I knew that I was pretty run down and fatigued. This week I'm feeling really, really good. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna hit an RPE 8 and I should only have 2 reps left in the tank, and I'm already predicting that I'm gonna have a better session. Now, the contrast between an RPE scale and a percentage base, I'm not really gonna go too into this, but what I found was if you get too stuck into percentage based training at particular phases of your training cycle, you can really limit yourself to what you're capable of. And it swings both ways in the sense of, on days where you're feeling really, really good, you might want to push it a little bit more to show you what you're truly capable of and really maximize that training, surprise yourself. Versus other days, when you're coming into training and like I say, external factors coming in and you're like, cool, I've got 80% for a set of 3, and you're starting warming up and you're like, fuck, this is going to be an absolute grind, this is going to kill me, it's not going to go well, and then it doesn't go well. And then you start beating yourself up. You're like, fuck, I got weaker because I should be able to hit this percentage based off my 1RM, but I know I'm feeling run down, but as fucking lifters, we're super fucking emotional. And that's where it can kind of get into your head and fuck up the psyche of the lifter. I've been there. With the RPE scale, especially post-competition, you're not peaked as strong as you should be for competition. You don't need to be anywhere near as you need to be post-competition, as pre-competition. Your supplement cycle might change as well. So all of those factors coming in, again, external factors, change what your RPE scale should be. I'm going to be using this for myself, obviously, and a lot of my lifters post-competition. It's a really good way of them to just, all those achy joints and stiffness and stuff like that. Just make small adjustments to their training, push when it feels really, really good, keep it as they know it should be to their standard, or even pull it back a little bit on days where they need that mental, physical, neural recovery, and to manage their fatigue. So again, best way to use this scale is on the day you'll see an RPE 7, you go, cool, I really need to make sure I only have 3 reps left in the tank and push it as hard as I can, and from here. Now, just quickly, how you can use this scale for both strength and a little bit more like hypertrophy endurance. You get 2 different individuals and you're like, cool, I want you to, on this day, perform an RPE 9. But as you can see, one guy here might be like, you're really close to competition, so I want you to find an RPE 9 for a single. For that person, it's 100 kilos, right? Makes sense. I want to give you an RPE 9, but I only want you to hit 1. You should only have 1 rep left in the tank. Right, for me, that was 100 kilos. I hit 1 rep, wouldn't have been able to hit any more. You get another gentleman, it's like, all right, cool, I want you to hit an RPE 9 for 9 reps. You should only have 1 rep left in the tank. It's like, right, that was 100 kilos for me as well. So you can see 2 different people, we're still using the scale of 9, so they should only have 1 rep left in the tank, but you got 2 different people, 2 different phases of training, 2 different strength levels, obviously, but the same weight is being moved, one just for more reps than the other. That is how you use the RPE scale. Very, very simple way, very, very practical way for you to use it. But the best thing and the only thing that you honestly need to take away from this as well is the more experienced you become as a lifter, the more you use this scale, the more you begin to understand it. So if some weeks you're like, fuck, you know what, like, oh, that's really frustrating, I was meant to hit an 8, but I actually fucking hit a 6, don't fucking stress, because at least the following week you know that that wasn't a true RPE 8. The following week you just go for a true RPE 8 and you know that you're going to be going a little bit heavier. Days in which, you know, you go in and you're like, you know, I'm going to hit an RPE 8, but fucking you end up finding you hit an RPE 9, you're like, fuck, I'm annoyed with myself. And you go, cool, do you know what, that just means I've just got to go down in weight again a little bit next week. And that's the fluidity, I think that's the word, of the RPE scale versus the percentage based. I wouldn't say one's better than the other. There is a time and place for both. But if you're on RPE at the moment, that is how I will use it.